Right, everyone, let's talk UFC Seattle. I think it was a really, really good card. Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong obviously ended a little bit less desirable than we had hoped, but let's just talk about the event really quick. First of all, I went 8-4 on the card. The record's coming back, man. I'm 45-28 now, so we are absolutely cooking. Past couple cards have been decent. I mean, last week I was like 7-5, which isn't the best. But again, realistically, that's just one fight off of what I got this week, and I'm very happy with what I got this week. It's about 66%, I believe. I'm doing the math correctly, which I am. I'm good at math. But let's just get into the fight card. Starting with the main event, Song Yadong versus Henry Cejudo. Now, this is a good one to talk about. I'm enjoying this. Henry Cejudo looked much better than he has since fighting like Marab and fighting Aljo. He looked a lot quicker. His striking looked a little bit better. He looked like he came into this fight pretty prepared. But I will say, my scorecards read 3-0 Song going into round 4. Thought he won all 3 rounds. I thought round 1 was probably the closest. Cejudo did land some good low kicks and had some good pressure. But every time Song landed, it was like Cejudo had to, kind of eat it, where Song was able to take the shots, and I thought Song's shots had more power, and eventually he started to get on the pressure once he got the reads of Cejudo, and his low kicks, I think, were doing a lot more than Henry Cejudo's were doing. But Henry looked fast early. Started looking good. He looked fast early. He was using a lot more energy, though. He was using a lot of the feints, especially a lot of the jump feints, and you could see that was starting to take his energy out a little bit, especially because Song wasn't overreacting to it. Now, we saw a couple times Cejudo shoot for takedowns that he had literally no success in. He had no chance, and that's one of the things I talked about in the prediction video was Cejudo's not going to be able to get takedowns probably on Song Yadong. If he does, Song's popping back up because Song has very strong hips. He is very physically dominant in these fights where he's a hard guy to take down. And you have to get completely around the legs to get to him. And it's going to be very hard to do for a shorter guy like Cejudo he's having trouble getting in range, because if you get all the way into boxing range, like you're trading with Song Yadong, who's got some of the most pop in the division, you don't want to be doing that. Now, in this fight, I thought the commentary was super biased as well. And we're going to get to the whole decision in a second. I know that's what a lot of you guys want to hear about. Commentary I thought was super biased, and it was driving me nuts. Anytime Cejudo landed, they were going crazy about it, and they had people thinking that Cejudo might have won a round. I didn't think he won a round. Granted, I thought round 1 was pretty close, but I didn't think he won it. I think Song did more damage in each of the rounds. And Cejudo was he was realizing, dude, there was a lot of respect given to Song from Cejudo, and rightfully so. Song Yadong's very, very good. I'm not a Cejudo hater, so as we continue to get through this, take that in mind. I'm not a Cejudo hater. Do I think he's a little cringe? Yeah, but it's kind of good for the sport. It's going to make you watch. He's a very, very talented athlete. But I'm listening to Bisping and Felder and every single fucking time. Brandon Gaudin, dude, Brandon Gaudin was on a Glaze tour of all the, most popular fighters, I guess you'd say, on the card. He did the same thing with Gene Silva, which, Gene Silva's a fucking monster. We'll get to that in a little bit, too. But I was just super bothered by the biased commentary throughout this whole card. Throughout this fight specifically, it was driving me nuts, dude. Anytime Cejudo did anything, that commentary was going crazy. Song was doing good work of his own, and they didn't say shit. It took until Cejudo got really hurt from a leg kick for them to say anything, but Song was beating up that leg the whole time. Anytime Cejudo would come at a boxing range, Song was faster, and he was more powerful. He was getting more shots off. They weren't saying shit, though. It was driving me nuts. Especially in that first round, it was a very patient Song Yadong. I think he went 19 of 31 in that first round. Definitely more strikes ended up landing as it went, but that was a stat going through 3/4 of the way through the first round, and I was like, dude, he's super precise. He's landing 62% right now. They're not talking anything about it. Song did a good job of checking some low kicks too. Now, we're going to get to round 3, this is where the eye poke happens. It was a double eye poke. It was a nasty eye poke. It was a very nasty eye poke. But it was bad. Now, I will say that it was bad now. The night of, Sandbox MMA, Instagram might have been in some comment section saying Cejudo quit, he should just retire, he didn't want to go on. I was just kind of disappointed that such a great card ended with a weird ending in the main event. I do think if that fight continued, it would have been either a 50-45 to Song Yadong, or he was getting a round 4 or 5 finish, regardless of if there was an eye poke or not. I think Cejudo was just getting schooled. It was getting dangerous. Now, as the fight was going on, Cejudo was able to kind of stick the jab, and he was doing it from the southpaw stance, which is something to keep an eye of when Song Yadong fights a southpaw. Someone like Umar, someone like if O'Malley's going to be switching stances if he fights him, so something to keep an eye out on, because he's kind of struggling with that jab, and he did it against Piotr Jan too, but the eye poke comes in, Cejudo takes his full 5 minutes, which is smart. It's the right thing to do. He took the full 5 minutes, but then you hear in the corner, Cejudo's asking like a lot. He's like, is there going to be a point taken? There should be a point taken. What kind of happens here? Like, I got poked in the eye. Like, I need my 5 minutes. Can I get some water? And people are thinking like, oh, you can't drink water in between rounds. He wasn't asking for that. He wanted the water to wash away his eye. That's what he wanted, which is totally fine because there was ultimately blood kind of coming out of the eye. Now, these were nasty eye pokes. But to me, it felt like Cejudo was in danger. And at 38 years old, he was kind of looking out for himself to say, dude, if there's a way out here, like, I'm trying to get a way out. Now, it was interesting because if he really wanted to fully quit and just wanted a way out, you'd think that he'd be like, dude, I can't see in that third round. And it would be a DQ or a no contest. I would think it would be a no contest because it was unintentional. I don't think they would have called it a DQ. This is like the Leon Bilal situation to me, where like Song Yadong was winning the fight the whole time, and then it was just an accidental eye poke. I don't think they would have called that a DQ. I think it would have been a no contest. And Herzog was kind of like really trying to get Cejudo back in the fight so they can kind of wrap up the round, and you can tell he wanted to get to it. The bare minimum was technical decision, so the main event doesn't end in a no contest or DQ, which I don't dislike. Now, one of the things I will say is we got to start taking points for this. And, like, dude, you know I wanted Song Yadong to win. You know I'm a fan of Song Yadong. Like, but when you're going nutshot to violent eye pokes, like, I get it's unintentional. But, dude, like, the only way people are going to learn to stop doing it is if you start taking points for this shit. Because that's when people are going to, in training, be like, dude, we have to make sure these hands are closed. I'm sure they're working on it a little bit, but you get in the fight and things get a little different. But they're not training, like, rigorous rounds where they're like, hands closed, hands closed, hands closed. They're going to need to start doing that because these eye pokes are becoming more and more frequent, and it's maddening. It really is maddening to see because these are things where points should end up being taken. Now, I don't think that it would have changed the results here. I know the judges don't know what the fuck they're talking about by having 29-28 to Song Yadong. That would have made it 28-28 in a draw if they took a point, but I thought it was 30-27. I thought the final scorecard, if they took a point in the third round, would have been 29-27. Derek clearly scored round 3 to fucking Henry Cejudo, which is ridiculous, dude. These guys don't know how to score fights. Round 3 was an ass whooping. It was the most ass whooping of a round from Song Yadong. The whole last minute and 16 seconds was Henry Cejudo running away, and Song Yadong hunting him down, landed big shots, and it was getting dangerous. Derek clearly doesn't know how to score a fucking fight, though. Dumb shit. Now, again, if Cejudo had stopped and, like, called the fight in the third round, probably would have been a no contest or DQ, but respect for him, like, trying to finish the round, and then eventually goes to the stool, and he's like, I can't see. Only Cejudo knows the real truth here, but I'm just trying to be honest from what I saw, from the impression that Cejudo was given, the body language, like, how he was talking, I don't think he couldn't completely see. I don't doubt it was a little blurry. It's probably more blurry for Song Yadong. I mean, he's got both his eyes shut. But anyway, it's a joke, guys. Don't get upset. But I think he realized that, hey, man, I might get finished here. This isn't going to go too well. Like, I'm 38. I'd like to not get fucking put out cold at the age of 38 and end my career with a knockout, possibly. I'm going to say I can't see and see if we can possibly get 2 rounds of a decision here, possibly get a DQ or a no contest. Like, see what happens. That's just my honest opinion, dude. I get people are going to be upset in the comments going, you don't fucking understand. You don't know fighting, bro. Like, dude, I fucking watch a sport like crazy. Like, watch it, see it every weekend. Like, I'm not saying that he fucking Cody Brundage this shit, but like, I can't honestly look at this and say I think Cejudo actually did want to keep going. So, Song Yadong gets a technical decision. Sucks that it ended that way. But I do think he would have just ended up beating down Henry Cejudo anyway. Maybe he did get kind of robbed of a finish here, but he also was the reason of that for not. And then at the end of round 3, dude, I thought he was going to get another eye poke and they were just going to DQ him. Because he was going at him like fingers in the eye, like going like fingers are standing right in front of the eyes. I'm like, dude, Please don't, because that's going to be a DQ at that point. It's not even going to be a no contest, because Herzog's been telling you. So Uriah Faber, make sure he's training to not fucking poke those eyes out. But one of the things they talked about was a rematch. I don't want to fucking see a rematch. I think it was going to be one-way traffic anyway, so no rematch. Book Song against, a higher-ranked contender. Cejudo can get a Legends fight in the end, and you'll see that with the matchmaking video coming out later as well. So we're going to move on. Brendan Allen, Anthony Hernandez. I almost got this one fucking perfect, dude. With the first 2 rounds, we're going to go to Brendan Allen and Anthony Hernandez. We're going to marotte his way into round 3. But round 1, Brendan Allen looked very good. Landed 3 low kicks. All 3 spun Anthony Hernandez around or dropped him to a knee. Great low kicks. All 3 of them were perfect. Landed a really good kick up top. Then they engage in the grappling. Brendan Allen jumps the back for a submission, ends up on bottom, and starts getting controlled by Anthony Hernandez throughout most of the first round, after he's done a ton of damage on the feet. But with 2 minutes left, Brendan Allen finds a way to reverse it and get top position. And one of the things I got to say about Brendan Allen is, dude, he's one of the best at top position here in the sport. He's so talented, but he gets in his own way. He literally gets in his own way. In round 1, he looked good. He maintained top position, and he wasn't jumping for anything too crazy in the submissions at the end of round 1. He was landing ground and pound. He was holding the top position. Used his brain in that round. He won the first round clearly. Was doing much better on the feet. Went for a dumb rear naked choke jump on the first round. Ended up on bottom for about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. Then reverses position, ends up in top for 2 minutes. And lands good ground and pound to damage score win the round. Round 2 comes around. Anthony Hernandez shoots right to the takedown. And instead of sprawling, trying to stay on the feet, Brendan Allen kind of accepts that, all right, it's going to go to the ground. Maybe I can find a way to get back into the top position. And he just got controlled for the whole round. He wasn't able to have any success in round 2. He had moments where he would reverse it, but then he would play the fucking game where he's stop, he's jumping a rear naked choke. He's going for a submission instead of getting back to his feet. It's dude, this gets back to the feet. You're going to outdamage Anthony Hernandez. Time a knee. Throw something a little crazy to try and win the round at the end there, but he just didn't do it. He kept going for these submissions, and this is the reoccurring story as we get to round 3. Brendan Allen does damage on the feet, gets taken down. Okay, he's trying to get back up at the beginning of round 3. He is trying to get back to the feet, doing the right things, engaging in the whizzer. Anthony Hernandez is kind of beating him in these 50-50 positions. But instead of getting back to the feet, he's trying to engage in the grappling. And I don't want this to be I'm shitting on Brendan Allen the whole time, because I think this guy is supremely talented. Supremely talented. It's he might go down as one of the biggest what-ifs in UFC history if he had his fucking head on straight. And I don't want to be the guy that's oh, dude, you're critiquing an MMA fighter. You don't know what you're talking about. Dude, I'm watching this happen every fucking fight. He has opportunities to win literally every fight, and he keeps getting in his own way. Don't go for the rear naked. Dude, in round 3, when he jumps for a backpack, and then Anthony Hernandez slides out from underneath him, and then he gets back into top position, that's the moment where he's on the feet, throw a knee, separate, land some striking, or find a way to get to top position. Don't just jump a shitty fucking rear naked choke backpack that you know you're not going to get. Anthony Hernandez was defending those chokes the entire time. He didn't even get close on one of them. He did. He had a neck crank for a second, but then Anthony Hernandez got out of it in 5 seconds. I don't understand what was happening here. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Anthony Hernandez's performances either, because he was very, very... He did his game plan. He just... Pressure, grappling, floated, maintained top position, but Brendan Allen had so many moments where he was able to reverse and get in top position, land ground and pound, win the rounds based off of damage, and he kept throwing it away because it just felt like one of those things where he was trying to prove to everyone, I can submit this grappler. Dude, we get it, you submit the Paul Craig, the Andre Muniz, all these guys, these top grapplers. But this is Anthony Hernandez. He's not just going to sit there and play the jiu-jitsu game. He's going to try and win rounds by being in top position and dominate you in the grappling and cardio. But you're so much better on the feet. Anthony Hernandez is shit on the feet, dude. That's just how it is. He's shit on the feet. And you're not bad on the feet. The kicks were really good. The straight punches are good. But you're throwing the fight away. And that was the story. It's just one of these things where, at what point is he going to fucking learn? He's got great coaches, a great team, and he's a very skilled and talented fighter, but he just keeps throwing these fights away for himself. Drinkus started shitting on him on Twitter too, which was fucking hilarious. Like, I don't know what's next for you, brother, but I know what you will not be. Yeah, fighting for a title because he can't find a way to get himself. Like, this was the kind of fight. Like, you were gonna lose a 5-round fight. I fully believe that. You really had a good chance in this 3rd-round fight, and Anthony Hernandez just did his thing. Brendan Allen lost. This isn't like Anthony Hernandez really winning a fight to me. This is Brendan Allen losing the fight. So, good win from Anthony Hernandez, but Brendan Allen, dude's gotta fucking. He had it, man. He had it. And he just kept throwing it away. Stop jumping for fucking submissions when every time they're getting reversed. You're costing yourself the fight. You're costing yourself a chance at a title run. And then at the end of every single time where he clearly loses a 29-28 decision, his hands are in the air like, dude, what? Like, they really went with Hernandez? No, dude, of course they did. You lost. Not only did you lose, you threw the fight away. Oh, it makes me upset. Let's get to Rob Font and Gene Matsumoto. Now, what a fucking scrap this was. I don't know why Fight of the Night went to Alonzo Menifield and Julius Walker. I honestly thought that this was possibly Fight of the Night. It was a scrap, dude. Really, really good fight. People are calling robbery. Dude, I saw this 29-28 Rob Font based off of rounds 1 and 3. Round 1 was very, very close. Round 2 was very, very close. Round 3 was clear as day to Font. Thought Font won. I thought it was the right decision. I know people are going to cry robbery, but I thought it was the right decision. Now, Gene Matsumoto had his best performance in the UFC to date. Looked really, really good. This guy belongs. He'll be ranked. Supremely talented fighter. Showed up and, like, he gave it his all, dude. He gave it all. And one of the things where this fight starts and they go for the glove touch and Rob Font touches gloves and immediately throws a 1-2 down the middle. I get that you got to protect yourself at all times. I get that. I actually side with Felder on this one. I don't like that from Rob Font. I don't like that. You don't go for the glove touch and throw the 1-2. You tell him no and you just go march at him and you throw the 1-2. I just thought that was stupid. Thought it was a little dirty. Was not a fan of it. But fucking A, dude. Rob Font's boxing is good. And in the first round, he's landing a ton of damage on Gene Matsumoto. Landing great 1-2s. Gene Matsumoto can knock it out of the way. 1-1-2. Then he's winging these uppercuts that don't land, but they're getting close. And if they do land, like, he's probably sitting Gene Matsumoto down. But John Matsumoto was able to implement the grappling eventually. Rob Font did a great job of getting back to his feet. Now, this fight was close. Round 1, they both almost had submissions. And I think because Gene Matsumoto's was at the end, everyone's like, oh, Gene Matsumoto wins the round because he almost had that submission at the end. And they're forgetting the fact that not only did Rob Font do significantly more damage in round 1 on the feet, landing great 1-2s, and then double jabbing and hitting the 2, but he also almost had an omoplata. He was almost as close. He was almost as close to the omoplata as John Matsumoto was to the guillotine. We'll get to Andre Fili being a fucking idiot in a minute. But that's why I give round 1 to Font. It's like I'm having those 2 submission attempts kind of cancel each other out. And then I'm like, all right, what happened in the grappling? Only control time, no real ground and pound in round 1 from Gene Matsumoto. What happened when they were on the feet? Rob Font kind of pieced him up on the feet. Like, Matsumoto landed some good low kicks and landed some good shots. Rob Font was doing significantly more damage, and he was tagging Gene Matsumoto. So round 1 to me goes to Font. Round 2, also very close. When they're on the feet, Rob Font's doing great work with his hands. But the low kicks of Gene Matsumoto were actually doing much better in round 2. Blasting them, landing them very, very consistently. Beating up the legs of Rob Font. And then when he starts implementing the grappling, he's doing a little bit more damage with it. He's kind of jumping for some submissions and able to keep the position. And he did kind of dominate in the grappling in round 2. And it was trickier for Rob Font getting back up. Like, he was getting back up in round 2, but Matsumoto was going and getting the takedowns. And he wasn't just, like, kicking the legs out from under him. He was getting them up and slamming them to the ground. That is good enough for me to say, okay, you know what? Matsumoto can win round 2. So I gave him round 2. Round 3, I thought Rob Font beat his ass on the feet. I'm going to be real. Now, Matsumoto stood in there and went to war with him. Scrap, dude. The last 30 seconds of this fight was fucking awesome. These guys are warriors. The respect after the fight that Rob Font showed, I was very happy of. Still really don't like the fucking fake glove touch, dude. That really did piss me off. But what am I going to do? It is what it is. I thought it was pretty gay, but it is what it is. But Rob Font was landing good 1-2s. Landed a couple of really nice elbows. Matsumoto wasn't able to really get it to the ground in round 3. Font was able to kind of defend, push against the cage, land an elbow off the break. Font landed a great, cheeky little left elbow to split Matsumoto open right above the hairline. Where if it was Stephen A. Smith, you would be able to see the cut clear as day halfway down his forehead. But because it was a young prospect in Gene Matsumoto, it was above the hairline. If it was Damon Jackson pre going to Turkey, you would have seen the thing clear as day. But post Damon Jackson, it would have been above the hairline. New Damon Jackson. Catching strays, man. I'm sorry, Damon Jackson. Font won the third round based off on the feet. Like, he was just really, really good. Now, Matsumoto went in there and went to war, and he was landing some good shots, but Font was landing more. Font was landing better in the third round. Landing cleaner, better technique. So I gave the third round for Rob Font. It was a split decision. Thought the right guy won. Really, really good fight, man. Really, really good fight. In my opinion, should have been fight of the night. But we're going to move on. Good win from Rob Font. Underdog pick that I nailed. Jean Silva versus Melsik Bagdasaryan. Now, I thought Jean Silva was going to get a finish later in this fight, but he ended up getting in the first round, and he made a really good job of kind of reading what Melsik was doing, and I don't know if anyone caught it, but Jean Silva was, like, moving his left hand a lot, and he started realizing Melsik's trying to, like, pat the hand away, do a little bit of hand fighting every single time, and when he would, like, it was Southpaw versus Orthodox, so when he would use his right hand to pat away Jean Silva's left, the right hand would kind of get ready to load up and throw, but he saw that this hand was moving away from the chin, so Jean Silva's reading that as it goes. Then he lands the hook, 2, sits down Melsik Bagdasaryan at the end of the first round, sits there, looks at the ref, and we're going to get to some of the emoting in the fight, and absolutely goes, dude, is he done? He's done. He's done. And Melsik kind of looks at the ref like, you didn't call the fight off, right? And then Jean Silva's like, all right, right hand, and then elbows, body, body, body. Now, Brandon Gooden is fucking glazing, saying, dude, what a good job by Jean Silva knowing it was over, so he just started going to the body to not protect. That's just a classy move. Stop glazing, bro. I think Brandon Gooden's awesome, but he was on some fucking new glaze bullshit this time, so that really was fucking annoying to me, but Jean Silva gets it done with a KO in the first round. This guy's aura is nuts. It is nuts, dude. It gets him points in fight. Like, I swear to God. This guy's aura is fucking nuts. One thing that I really am not liking. You guys can tap hands when there's like just like we just got separated for a second. Now you touch hands, you smile at each other, you nod, things like that. It is what it is. You're in the middle of a fight, but you're always aware. Jean Silva will fucking stop the fight, shake hands and go, yeah, wait a second, crowd, yeah. Dude, it's going to bite him in the ass one of these days. And I've said this for the past 2 fights, like, dude, this emoting and the high fives, like, it's all cool when you're out there and you end up, you're getting the knockout win, you're beating the dude up, but at some point you're going to get caught. And if you do, it's not that fun anymore. It's stupid to me, man. Like, it's crazy that it's working. Like, it's crazy to me that it is working for him, and he's able to put guys out right after. But he's going to fight someone that's going to go, dude, fuck no. And Dober kind of started to do it. He's like, dude, I'm not fucking dapping you up anymore. He's like, dude, get the hand out of my face. And he starts throwing. It's just, he had Dober split wide open before he could even get there. But one of the things I don't like Jean Silva doing also is like stopping the fight and telling the ref to get involved now. The cut for Dober's too bad. Melsik's out. You should stop the fight. Like, you don't dictate that. I'm a big fan of Jean Silva, but these are some of the things that are starting to get on my nerves a little bit. And still a big fan. It's not going to make me not a fan, but it is annoying me a little bit. Like, dude, you're in there in a fight. You're having fun. That's great. There's going to be a point where this bites you in the ass. And I don't want to see him get, like, his rise gets stopped because he gets caught because he's doing something stupid. You don't need to keep doing that stuff. Throughout the whole fight, I get it. You're a showman. But it doesn't matter if you're a showman, if you're going to go out there and go for a title run, but you get stopped because, this time Josh Emmett went, nope, overhand right. He's got the power to put anybody out. He went overhand right and he knocked you out. It's not going to be cool if that happens. That's my thing, is like, stop with that stuff. Stop telling the refs to get involved they can't get involved in the fight unless they think it's ready. You're not dictating when this is over. You're not. So let the refs get involved when they got to get involved. Stop dapping everybody up the whole time. It's going to get you in trouble. And I know Bisping was talking about it, and it's fun and everything, but it's not going to work when you're at the top of the top. It's not. I get it's fun. But you're kind of putting a pause on the whole fight, and everyone's like, well, if he gets knocked out in the middle of doing that, it's like it's a dirty move. It's kind of not if he keeps doing it. You got to stop doing that, Silva. Like, I'm afraid it's going to get him caught at one of these points. So, great performance, insane knockout. It literally works for him. He does this shit, clip farms, and it fucking works every time. It's nuts. This guy's a monster. Big fan of Gene Silva. This guy's an absolute monster. Calls out Bryce Mitchell. It's a great call. I wanted to see the Emmett fight, but Emmett just got booked against Lerone Murphy, so we're getting Gene Silva versus Bryce Mitchell probably. I think it's a sick fight. Moving on. Alonzo Menifield versus Julius Walker. And by the way, I thought Melsig was a dangerous opponent. You saw the kicks were pretty damn good. Melsig's a dangerous opponent, so it's a good performance from Gene Silva. But Alonzo Menifield versus Julius Walker, I think this is the right decision. I honestly think it could have went, I don't hate the 30-27 scorecard to Alonzo Menifield, too. I kind of thought that he won 1, 2, and 3. I kind of did. I can see round 1 going to Julius Walker, but I thought Menifield was doing so much more on the feet and was landing so much better. Now, it was a sloppy, ugly, gross fight. But for Julius Walker's debut to come in there and give Alonzo Menifield one hell of a fight, gotta give him respect. It was kind of fun, but it was very sloppy. Didn't think it deserved fight of the night. Alonzo Menifield has fucking power. He hurt Julius Walker a couple times, and Julius Walker didn't go out. He did kind of do the Irish jig a little bit, had a little bit of the jelly legs. But he ended up remaining composed, got out of the way of the following shots, and then would kind of push against the cage, land a couple of his shots his own. Walker isn't terrible for light heavyweight, man. Light heavyweight is not the most skilled division. He's not terrible. I think he can get in the rankings one day soon. I think he's 26, 27 years old, 28 maybe. He's got time. But, you kind of fed him to the wolves a little bit early, jumping into a ranking spot. And, dude, he got a good performance. He went up there and he slugged with Alonzo Menifield. But a lot of those were knees to the body, good low kicks. Alonzo Menifield looks just fucking slow and bobbly-wobbly in there. And I think that's why one of the judges gave the fight to Julius Walker. But I thought Alonzo won pretty clearly. I'm going to be real. Julius Walker looked a lot better. Dude, he kind of looks like a knockoff Derek White to me. Like a big Derek White. Which is weird to say because Derek White's 6'4". Julius Walker's 6'6". Good clinch knees to the body. He did hurt Alonzo Menifield at one part and shot in for a takedown, which I think is dumb. But I thought he realized that, Alonzo's kind of recovering a little bit and he's throwing hard 1-2s back. I don't want to get caught with something while I'm going for a crazy finish. So he did show some composure in the fight. But Alonzo won, was landing better shots on the feet. He shot a lot of takedowns, man, but he went 1 of 9. So it's going to be hard to take down a fucking football player, a guy who was a linebacker from Alabama. It is. And it's just one of those things where I just think football players are fucking tougher than basketball players. Now, Julius Walker is the toughest basketball player I've ever seen. He would fucking destroy James Johnson. It's one of the things I like to say is James Johnson did jiu-jitsu, so he thinks he's an elite fighter. Ryan Hall does jiu-jitsu too. Carlos Vera does jiu-jitsu too. Ask him how their MMA career is going. Soy dog shit. And James Johnson, drives me nuts. A little bit of tries too hard to be some hard, tough guy. Dude, you got to admit, when you're in the octagon with these guys, they're going to fucking beat the shit out of you. That's just how it goes. Yeah, you can beat some of the other soy boys in the UFC. You can beat LeBron James, who falls over from 5 miles an hour gusts of winds when no one sees shit, even though he's 6'8", 250 pounds. Julius Walker, I think, would beat his ass. But Julius Walker, man, got a lot of my respect. I just think football players are a little bit tougher than basketball players. But Julius Walker he's a tough cookie. Respect to Julius Walker for stepping in there. You'll see, I didn't matchmake him because he lost, but I'd like to see him against someone outside the rankings, please. Let him get a 2-fight win streak, then he can kind of go back to the rankings. But Alonzo Menifield gets a win. He needed it. If he lost this one, it would have been a 3-fight loss streak, but Alonzo gets the win. Moving on. Fuck yeah, dude. I was so happy at this. Another underdog pick that I nailed. Iwan Kudalaba versus Ibo Aslan. I think that Ibo Aslan's a little overrated, like I said. Think he's not the greatest at defending takedowns. I think he gets a little too crazy, and it's easy to get to his hips because when he gets crazy, he starts winging a lot of punches, and people can dive and get to the hips. Now, when they were standing on the feet, Iwan Kudalaba was like, dude, let's go. First of all, in the intro, going up to him, hitting the little Undertaker action, that was badass. That was fucking badass. Because you knew it was about to be a war. And when you knew this fight was booked, you're like, these guys are going to fucking scrap it out. But one of the things I said is, I think Iwan Kudalaba can stall this out for a second, get a couple takedowns to throw Ibo Aslan off, and that's what he did. Ibo Aslan went into the fire, and Iwan Kudalaba went in the fire with him, and the second it started to get a little too dicey, where he got hit with a 1-2, Iwan Kudalaba would go overhand, wait for Ibo Aslan to throw back, shoot the double. And he got a couple of takedowns, and you can see when Ibo Aslan was getting back to his feet, which he did do a good job of getting back to his feet those first couple times, he was getting fatigued and tired. So I think there's a cardio issue here with Ibo Aslan. Now, I get it, it's an adrenaline dump. You're going against the most dangerous guy you've fought in the UFC so far. Guy that's trying to take your head off. But if you're mixing in the grappling against Ibo Aslan, I think he's going to be beatable. He's very flat-footed, so it's going to be harder for him to defend takedowns until he starts bouncing around a little bit more. And again, at the light heavyweight, it's not easy to be fucking like Cyril Gane at heavyweight, switching your stances and floating around a little bit, staying on your toes. But he's a little bit flat-footed, especially for a guy that's able to take you down. Now, one of the things that I liked that he did a lot, which I wish Brendan Allen did, Iwan Kutalaba that is when he got that takedown after rocking Ibo Aslan, he floated. But Ibo Aslan was trying to roll so that way Iwan Kutalaba, maybe he stays on the back, but he ends up like Iwan Kutalaba's kind of backpacking on the ground. He's on his back against the canvas while Ibo Aslan's on his back against Iwan Kutalaba, which is something that Ibo Aslan could probably just reverse and get into top position on, land crazy ground and pound. But instead, Iwan Kutalaba kind of realized that and stayed and floated, so that way when Ibo Aslan turned to go to his back, Iwan Kutalaba kind of floated over it and walked right into an arm triangle and got his submission. Great work from Iwan Kutalaba. That's his first submission in the UFC. Gets crazy on the mic, which I love to see. He's an absolute Chad, dude. Absolute Chad. Swinging and banging, and then gets his takedown. Great submission. And he has an awesome mic moment where Bisping's like, who do you want? He's like, you know me, fucking anybody, give me anybody. Dude, big Iwan Kutalaba fan over here. Awesome win. Dude, dare I say, we're doing the Iwan Kutalaba top 5 run right now at light heavyweight. I'm calling it, baby. Let's go. Iwan Kutalaba, great submission win. Now we move on to someone that didn't know what to do in the grappling, was Andre Fili. We start to run through these fights a little bit quicker. This card was sick, dude. 7 finishes in a row. Then it gets to the main card, and everybody fucking goes to decision except for Jean Silva. The good thing is those fights were fun. Even the Allen versus Hernandez one, it was good grappling exchanges. It was fun. Rob Font, Gene Matsumoto was fun. Sloppy and fun, but Alonzo Manafield's fight was fun. This one was... Wow, the strikes I don't know are correct. Melquizael Costa did a great job of kicking the legs, kicking the body. Had really hard time with his punches. But I think that was his game plan. Stay on the outside and blast the kicks. I think Andre Fili landed a couple of good punches. He had a good one, too, that caught the attention of Melquizael Costa. And then he goes to mix it up with a takedown. I'm like, good, that's smart from Andre Fili. But what he did was he threw himself into this guillotine. He gets the takedown. He doesn't pass over the legs. And then it's like he almost gets caught in the guillotine. He kind of gets out of it where he's like, no, I'm not in it. I'm like, all right, he knows how to defend the guillotine. And then I'm watching as he sits there in guard, and the guillotine gets lashed up, and he just doesn't do anything about it. He gives his neck into it and gets submitted. I'm like, what are you fucking doing? Stupid. It was so stupid. Andre Fili, this fight was literally Melquizael Costa staying at kicking range and kicking the legs, and then Andre Fili going for a takedown and giving up a free guillotine. So, good performance from Melquizael Costa, yeah, but Andre Fili, dude, I expect a lot more out of you, bro. I really do. But anyway, good performance from Melquizael Costa. I got that one wrong. Mansour Abdul Malik versus Nick Klein. This got dicey for a second there. But Nick Klein looked terrified to start the fight. Had a weird... Just looked fucking weird. He's sitting there like he's a fucking creeper from Scooby-Doo, dude. Dead ass. Where he's got his back kind of hunched and his arms are up like this. Like, all right, I gotta fucking defend myself at all costs. Because Mansour Abdul Malik looks like a fucking monster in there. You know he's got pop. You know he's got power. You know he wants to get the finish. He's minus 1,300 favorite. And Nick Klein kind of fought like he was the plus 700 underdog. Or he looked like it, at least. Then he has a moment. He's blasting low kicks, trying to get takedowns. And he has moments here where he actually gets a spinning back fist, and it hits Mansour Abdul Malik. Now everyone's going, oh, he's wobbled, he's hurt so bad, go get the finish. I think he just was kind of shocked he got hit by it, had like 2-3 seconds, and then goes, all right, I'm recovered. And then Nick Klein starts shooting the takedowns again. And a lot of people are like, dude, why would you shoot a takedown after you had him hurt? I think he realized that Mansour Abdul Malik was not as hurt as people thought he was. He was hurt for like a couple seconds. Then he was back into it, and he was back and ready to defend the takedown. So, good performance from from Nick Klein in the first round. Abdul Malik went to the stool, came back, goes, all right, dude, that happened. It is what it is. Let's get back to it. And then they start kind of trading on the feet a little bit. Mansour Abdul-Malik lands a couple of great punches that really start to hurt Nick Klein. And then when he's got him against the fence, he's just teeing off. Nick Klein can barely stand. He's getting absolutely beat up. And Mansour Abdul-Malik gets the knockout in round 2. Great win. Good to show he has some adversity. Has a great moment on the mic where he calls out, you guys know how much I don't like Antonio Tricoli. I think he's a fucking coward bitch, but he calls out Antonio Tricoli, says, dude, you fucking pulled out of the fight after signing the thing. Dude, they should cut Tricoli. Honestly, he's not a good fighter, and he's just not a good guy. Character level 0, bitch boy. Hope I never see him in the street, because I'll get fucking slipped. But yeah, he kind of shits on Antonio Tricoli on the mic and says, I think that's who Nick Klein should fight next because he took an ass whipping that Tricoli should have got. Maybe Nick Klein beats him. I might pick him because I think Tricoli is dog shit. But Mansour Abdul-Malik, great win. Yeah, really, really good win, honestly. And I get it, it was like a big favorite, but to go against adversity, come back, show strength, and win that fight, it's a good sign. Now we're going to move on. Ricky Simone, dude, Javid Basharat is not as good as everyone thought. Now, people are saying, dude, we thought the Basharat bros were great. Farid's really good. I think Farid is so much better than Javid. They have a similar fight style, but Farid is a lot more aware. I think he's faster. His technique, they got similar technique, similar fight style, but Farid's better at getting out of the way. He's better at taking shots. He's really good. Farid's really good. Javid keeps having these moments where he's just struggles, like back-to-back fights now. And Ricky Simone got his power back, dude. He looked like a fucking monster again in this fight, dude. And what a shocker, he goes blonde, looks like Charles Oliveira, goes out there, gets a first-round knockout win. Dude, if you're on a 3-fight losing streak, go blonde, recreate yourself, go back into the octagon, you're going to win. The first fight, you will win. That's just how it works. So Ricky Simone goes, shoots takedowns. He has trouble getting them. Javid Basharat is kind of picking him apart a little bit on the outside. Good with like the body kicks, the jabs, the straight twos. Nothing too crazy. Everything's straight and technical. And then Ricky Simone just kind of jab 2 right down the middle, flatlines Javid Basharat. Nasty knockout. Ricky Simone gets back in the win column. Austin Vanderford versus Nikolai Vretnikov. Austin Vanderford just dominated him. Nikolai Vretnikov is dog shit. He's bad. Like, dude, he's bad. He got consistently taken down, showed no ability to get up. And one of the things that drives me nuts about these, like, dude, you're losing the fight on the ground. Vanderford's, like, dominating you in terms of control, but he's also able to posture up, land elbows, land punches. And what are you doing? You're sitting there with a locked body triangle from the bottom. He's holding him down with a body triangle from the bottom, and it's just keeping Vanderford in his guard. Yeah, it's taking away some of the damage, but at this point, you're like, I'm getting dominated on the ground. I got to get back to my feet at all costs, or you're not going to win this fight. Because I think Vretnikov is better on the feet. He's got some pop, he's got some danger, but dude, this guy went 0 of 12 to the head. So maybe he's not better on the feet. I don't know, but good performance from Vanderford, gets the win. Vretnikov gets pissed, shoves him in the back after. Don't be a fucking bitch. I get you're pissed off, but you lost, got dominated. Don't be a bitch. You can say it was a shitty stoppage, but you did nothing to defend yourself. So Austin Vanderford gets the win. He gets to go goon to his wife again. Moving on. Nursultan Ruzaboyev versus Eric Bakaniko. This fight was pretty boring in the first round. Not much happened. They were kind of just point fighting at each other. Ruzaboyev wins it because he was just landing more on the feet. But then he lands a straight 2 that wobbles Bakaniko, and he goes in and he gets the finish. Good win from Ruzaboyev. I don't know why fight was even booked. Like, it was just a little bit of a mismatch, but it is what it is. And then Modestas Spakauskas versus Rafael Sarkaria. Sarkaria landed a really good 1-2 that almost put Modestas out. But Modestas shows that he's willing to take a punch, and Rafael Sarkaria doesn't like taking damage. So when he gets caught with a good one, he gets hurt. He goes into defense mode against the fence, and Modestas is able to just tee off and knock him out. So a good knockout from Modestas Spakauskas again. UFC Seattle was good. It was a really good card. I did good on picks, but the fight delivered. We had 8 finishes. And the 4 decisions we went to were actually pretty fun. So this is a good fight card. We need to be in front of crowds. That's the last thing I'm going to say, dude. I'm done with the Apex because every time we go in the Apex, no cards in the Apex deliver like the ones do in front of crowds. We have the occasional snoozer when we're in Saudi. We have the occasional snoozer when we're in Canada. But when we go to Seattle, Tampa, Nashville, all these other places, dude, the crowd brings it all to life, and we have these electric events. We don't have... There are some good fight night Apex cards, yes. but they never get to the level that these cards do. So, what a great card. Let's keep going in front of fans. And we got a couple good. We have an Apex card this weekend, which isn't great. Cody Brundage is the main event. Don't get why, but then we got like a Mexico City card coming up. We have another pay-per-view coming up. So they're starting to cook a little bit. They're booking more. They're going to Des Moines, Iowa. They're going to, I think it's Kansas City, Tennessee. So Kansas City, Missouri, and then they're also going to, I want to say it's Nashville, Tennessee, but they might be maybe Knoxville instead. But great fight card. This is the recap, man. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like and subscribe. Help me